What's up, you guys? My name's LT, and if you're watching this video, you're tuned in to F1 with Ro, and I'm your host, LT. Now, I understand that this is quite a niche group of people. I've had a lot of responses from a recent video about a head tracking software that uses your webcam to help you move your head, and the character in F1 2025, or aka the driver, will also pan around in the actual game. So as you're driving the F1 car, what you can actually see is normally a very static view, unless you have VR. Now, if you have VR, that's great. This is not the video for you to watch. But if you stay tuned, what you might find is that you can get some free software, sit in an F1 car in the game in cockpit view, and be able to look around just by moving your head. So if this is something that interests you, stay tuned. Now, also, I would like to mention that I do need more followers and to help get monetized and all that stuff. So I'm not really doing it for that, if I'm being completely honest. That's just a byproduct of making content. Now, I am a huge F1 fan, and if you do follow F1, which I do, please consider subscribing. And without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, you guys? LT again here, and this is a continuation of the video from yesterday. So yesterday I uploaded a video about a head tracking software that when you move your head, it will move the driver's head in the cockpit of the Formula 1 car, right? Which is great for Formula 1. So this is a quick video that I was asked to make just to give you guys an idea of how it's installed, how it works, some of the properties, and I'm going to also go over some of the things that I've seen in testing. Now, I would also like to mention that this is also somebody else has made a video on this, which I'll link to the link in the description below, just in case you want some further install information. But it's generally pretty easy to install. So the first step is obviously you have to have F1 2025, or maybe even F1 2024, which I haven't tested yet. Well, I haven't tested F1 2024, but I've tested it out and done a video yesterday about F1 2025. So here's the basic premise of the software. So if we go over to GitHub, which we all know is where everybody looks at all this stuff and creates this amazing software. I don't know how they do it. You want to go over there and look for something called OpenTrack. So if you just go, I mean, I have it up on the screen right here so you guys can see, but you can just type in OpenTrack onto the search menu, which is right here on the screen. I don't know if you can see that at the top search menu bar. Just type in OpenTrack, and what you'll see is all this information here. So you don't want to go with OpenTrack 2024.1.1 because that's the pre-release, right? So it's a bit buggy, so don't do that. If you scroll down a little tiny bit, you'll see OpenTrack 2023.3.0, which is the version that I'm using and is the latest one. So what you want to do then, obviously it's really simple. You click OpenTrack 2023.3.0 Win32 setup.exe, which is the executable file for the program. You want to get that downloaded to your PC and install that to your PC. The other thing you want to do is search for AIR Legend, which is the second part of the program that you need to download. Now, it is two programs that you use but work in conjunction with each other, so you'll start those up when you see it. So then once you get to AI track, you'll see this screen here, which is the general screen for the AIR, which if we just click back one, you'll see it'll say 6 depth of field head tracking software. So you want to click on that link there, and then you'll be sent to this. Now AI track is an open head tracker, so it's also two programs that work together in conjunction, and then you can start them up, go into F1 2025, make a couple of adjustments, and then you'll be able to move your head and the driver will look around in the game. Now the other thing that I did have a little bit of problem with, the F1 2025 game, the last update was 1.05. Now obviously it's 7/11/2025. They've got a new update for you, which helps with the UDP of the interface, so you don't have to worry about that no more. But then it's kind of hard to explain. The last version didn't support it, but this version does, essentially. So this is the main program that you want to use. So obviously it's really simple. Obviously you have all the images, program, everything right here, and then if you just scroll down, it'll tell you what it is. AI track is a 60 degree of freedom head tracker designed to work alongside open track for its use in simulators and games. Now sometimes that's better for military games like flying games or anything else like that. So the downloading and installation is actually pretty simple. So if you go to GitHub, AI track, and then just scroll down a little bit, click on the links, and what you'll first have to do is download and install the Visual C++ redistributable x64. Now a lot of people who, if you keep your Windows up to date, generally a lot of people, when I first clicked on that Visual C++ link, it says, hey, you've already got this, so you don't have to worry about it. So some people might have to worry about it, some people no, but that's one of the steps. The second step is to download OpenTrack and then go to the OpenTrack release pages, which is this here, right? So that's the 2023.3.0. So download that with the Win32 setup exe file down here, which you can see highlighted, and then download the most recent version of the tracker and its release pages to a zip file. You download the zip file, you extract the zip file, and then you can sort of upload and use the game, right? So what we'll do is I'm just going to quickly show you what F1 2025 looks like right now. So I'm going to do that. I know it's my game is running slow, so bear with me. Let's see if I can make it work, right? Because I'm recording at the same time. So I did actually put this on a really hard track. So obviously, as you know, this is Singapore, so you can see that if I move my head, it doesn't work. Right, you can see this is F1 2025. I normally have a very cockpit view because I like the cockpit view. So let's just stop it right there. So let's go back a step here, right? Let's go back a step. So we've got all that stuff in sorted out, and then what I'm going to do now. Now, what you also have to understand, just as a bit of a disclaimer, what happens with this program, it uses the data and head tracks from your webcam. So what you can't do at the moment, which hopefully will get fixed or made into something later on from the developers, is I'll have to turn this camera off so you won't be able to see my pretty face anymore. And then what I'll do is the open track and the AI track will use the webcam to track my head, but you'll still be able to see me. You might be able to still see me on the screen. So I haven't tested this out yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to test this live for you really quickly. We're going to turn off the display capture, all right, and we're going to start up the open track. All right, so you just double click it. I actually have it down, set down here at the bottom, which I believe is easier. So you open up AI track. Right, that's what the program looks like. Really simple, right? And then there's a few options here to discuss with first. But let's open up both programs because there is two of them. Let me just turn myself back on here. Not turn myself back on, steady. And then you also want to open up AI track, which is this program here, which I'll just do right now. Now it'll probably say get lost. So if we just enable the preview, which it won't be able to do because I'm using the webcam to show you guys my beautiful face as usual. So I can't do it like that. So if you're a streamer and you use your webcam, that kind of messes the system up. It messes the programs up because it's not compatible with two things being used for the webcam at the same time, if that makes sense. So I can't record myself on OBS and use the head tracking software. So you have to turn that off. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start up the tracker. I'm going to disable all the cameras for OBS because that's where I'm recording. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the head tracking software, and hopefully the game will run a bit better too. Okay, so just give me 2 seconds and we're going to get straight into this. Be right back. Okay, you guys, we're back again, and now I've disabled the camera so you can't see me, but hopefully you can hear me. So once we've got open track and AI track, just like we have on the screen here, if you look at the octopus over here, he's not moving at all. So if we go to the bottom right hand corner and click start tracking, and then we're also going to click start tracking here as well, and hopefully with a bit of luck it'll come up. Nope, maybe it's still doing this. Okay. Calibrate face. You can calibrate your face here on this. Yeah. Okay, we can X out of this completely. We're going to click start tracking. And normally this black screen here is doing something else, so we have to disable this here. Right, so it's because the video broadcast was using, right? So we're going to stop everything, right? And we're going to start tracking here. And we're going to start tracking here. Let's see if it will do it. So it can get a bit messy because of me recording and doing all this. So what I think we'll do is we're going to do this more live in-game, which I think might actually be better. So just bear with me. Right, what's up you guys? Okay, sorry a little bit about that. So basically what happens is, or what did happen right now is, sorry about the mess in my bedroom by the way. This is where I normally play my video games. Because OBS is using the camera, it can't use the camera for AI track. So if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see this on the screen here, but so I'm just going to record this so you won't see my face on the video too much. Right, so once you've downloaded these programs and installed everything, you'll see that my face has lots of dots on it. Right, I'm not sure if you can see that. I might have to zoom in a little bit, but then it also shows you the raw data on open track. Right, so if I move my head to the left, it'll say yaw, and you'll see the little octopus over here. He's moving around, so he's moving the same direction I have. Now I do have a bit of a disclaimer here. I am using an ultra wide, a 32-inch ultra wide. So the idea for me is I want to be able to look forward generally when I'm racing, but if I have a car on my left or right, I can look to the left of my screen, which is an ultra wide obviously, and the tracking software will make the car look towards the right. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you this in F1 2025. So once that's up, we can run this. Right, we're just going to go back a little bit here. So as you can see there, right, I'm just going to stop. So if I move my head just a tiny little bit here to the left, and looking at the left screen, I can see outside the left-hand mirror. Right, so obviously I've still got my Fanatec CSLDD set up. I can look right, or look left, change gears, everything like that. Right, so let's just go around really quickly so you'll see what I mean. So there is some fine tuning you will have to do. So if I have somebody on my left or somebody on my right, it's easy for me to, it's very easy for me to see them. But also, if I'm coming into this corner here, which is a hard turn, you'll see that I can look further into the corner. Right, so I'm going to crash there, so you might have to restart F1 2025, that's okay though. Right, so you can sort of go along in the Ferrari, turn right here, but also look into the corner. Now, generally, you don't want to do too much with this. Right, so I'm actually going to restart that because it might run a little bit nicer. Now, if you're familiar with F1 2012, it's the new game. It only came out like a month ago or something like that. So I'm just going to go back out, come back in, and in the meantime, I'm going to go back to these programs here. Right. So, what you also have to understand is some of the inputs. Right, so let's just stop that there, and we're going to stop tracking. So now the inputs you have to have on are, from looking at open track, is the UDP over network, right, which is normally in the game. So all these are the ones here. I don't even touch those, right? That's sort of the way it is. I haven't experimented with Valve Steam VR, but the one I use here, and the only one that it works with as far as I'm aware, is UDP over network, right? And then the output you want to put as free track 2.0 enhanced. Okay, now there are other ones here like I don't know, that's probably for the Microsoft game, or Flight Gears for the Microsoft game. So just copy these here and you don't have to worry about them, right? So Aricella, Acelli, I don't know what that is. And then if you also go to, because you can save a profile, which is always nice. If you go to options, what I would recommend, obviously if you're just sort of testing this out, before you start anything, obviously I have a mouse and keyboard here, so you can, if you get, it looks a bit wobbly and a bit, you know, it's overly sensitive of your head movements, what you can do is obviously the global shortcuts for center is centering it, it recenters where you're looking at, right, where the center of the screen is. And so I normally have that set to spacebar on the keyboard, and that's all I have, right? Center at startup, just use roll compensated. That's all I use, right? So then the output is also really important. Now the only thing you need just for left and right tracking is the yaw, okay? So as long as you have yaw in the destination and the source is yaw, everything else here can be disabled. Now you can play around with this. These are the ones like pitch, roll, because it will, you know, track your head roll. Like if you are turning into a corner and you tilt your head the way of the corner, so if you're turning right, you move your head right, or tilt your head right, it'll actually tilt the screen towards the right, if that makes it like it'll rolly. So that's why, just for this instance, I've disabled all that stuff. Okay, so that's a pretty easy screen. And pitch, I normally invert it because it was looking down and up, but I don't worry about that. I set that in game. Okay, all these here I have. You can just copy these. Neck displacement I normally have enabled. Game detection, I don't use that. But the other thing is filter. Now filter is also very important. Now if you look at the top bar here, the top two bars where it says rotation filtering, which includes yaw, pitch and roll, the only thing we're using is yaw. Okay, so the dead zone for it can be increased to 0.2 degrees, so it's got a bigger dead zone, just like you would have dead zones on your pedals or your brakes or anything like that. Like some people do set dead zones. I set them kind of high, and then with the smoothing, that actually just makes it look a little bit more realistic. But those are settings you can play around with once you've got everything installed, right? So then just click OK, no big deal. And now the other thing, this is actually one of the really cool things about this, is mapping, right? So if we look at mapping here, and we just actually start these programs up again, let's start them up again, right now. So as you can see, it moves, it sort of tracks all my head movements, right? I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm up, I'm down, I'm back, I'm front. So any one of those destinations your head goes to, it tracks it in-game. That's great, right? So obviously you can configure your face and zoom in, so you just, you know, you just look a little bit more. But I think this is a brilliant piece of software, because if I'm using a widescreen, I'm actually looking, I don't know if you can see it, this angle here, this is the edge of my screen, and that is the edge of my screen. So there's about a 20-30 degree pitch there, or yaw in this case, where you can actually have the driver's head move in that motion. Does that make sense? So if you go to mapping, right, you'll see this little screen come up here, right? Now let's just because you can disable the preview here, so let's just disable that, because you don't need to look at my ugly mush. But what you can see here is this small little red dot, and it moves the same way the octopus does, right? So if I'm looking over to the right, the driver in the car should look over to the right. If I'm looking to the left, should look over to the left. Now in an F1 car, it's a single seater, so you've only got one axis here. Now in a GT3 car, for example, like if you're racing on ACC, which it also works on, which I've tried and I've tested it, if you click asymmetric mapping below, and if you're driving a left-hand drive car, which is sometimes what you drive, obviously when you look left, you're right next to the door, aren't you? If you're on a left-hand drive car, so you'll be looking towards the left. Now that axis might be different, but if you can see, if I'm looking left, the dot, the red dot in the mapping is moving, right? Just if I'm moving my head to the left. But if I move it to the right, which should have more room over there, because generally in GT3 cars, there's a passenger seat which is normally stripped out, and it's a further distance, so you can actually alter these. And if you were to say, I mean, you can program these to the mapping of your choice, and you can save it as a default, but just for the sake of this video, I normally use, you know, one input, right? Now also the maximum input here as well can be changed to any kind of degrees of motion you have, but in an F1 car you kind of want 180 degrees of vision, don't you? As much vision as you can. So now let me go back to the game here. Now that's all running nicely. We're gonna just we're actually just gonna reload this, I think, just so you can see. Right, and we're gonna go back to Steam because all this is running now, and then we're gonna, oh, it did something. Don't worry about that. Right. Right, we're going to go back to play because now this is all running. You'll see the octopus moving. Right, you'll see the bar, the red dot on the bar moving. Right, even though it's only, because this is single seater, either way it's going to make it look like that little line over here is working in just by itself, but it's actually doing either way. It knows that I'm going one way or the other. So when you see it this time, there are some settings in F1 2025 that you do have to set up. Okay, so we're just going to load up F1 2025. Shouldn't take long. So there are some really cool bits. So I mean, I always go for a cockpit view, especially in GT3 racing. So even if you just use this for GT3 racing, like on ICC, I haven't tried it on Assetto Corsa yet, or Le Mans Ultimate, for example. I don't know whether it works on Le Mans Ultimate, but I know on ICC it does. Okay. We're just going to skip all this here as fast as we can so you guys can see.
Great job, guys.
We're just going to go and do a quick time trial. Shouldn't take too long.
That's it, mate.
So I do have a lot of settings set low so I can test it and it runs smoothly. I mean, if you have any kind of GPU lower than a 3000 series, I'm not sure if it's going to run it because I have a 3070 in mine. So let's just go to F1 World, which is where we can do our time trialing. Obviously I haven't tested it in multiplayer yet. I'm not sure if it does it in there. But let's go tag beautiful Aston Martin around any track. Let's try Japan. And we'll go and do a really quick lap for you. Now, from the last video, you will see me going around in a McLaren around Coda, as Brad Pitt did recently for the F1 2021 movie. Right, so this should already be active. So if I look a little bit to the left, right, look left, look right, beautiful, right? So I am now in, or I feel like I'm more in the cockpit now. With these two programs, I mean, it's a bit sensitive with my hands here, which is normal. But I like the cockpit view. It's probably the better view, right? So let's go to track here. We'll do a flying lap. Right, so now you get to feel what Alonso is doing. Alright, so if I look into the corner, let's see those turns a bit easier. Right, how cool is that? Right, and then we're going to go power, and we're going to do a lap. Right? Obviously this is the skate lap, so it's only doing 18 frames a second, so I'm just going to change the setting. Now, while we're on the motion of settings, what you'll also, oh no, that's tutorials, these settings, if you go to eye and head tracking settings in F1 2025 and you click on that, what you'll have to do is turn on head tracking with track IR, okay, because it doesn't give you any other option. So if I turn this off, it'll go static again and I'm moving my head, doesn't work. As soon as I turn this off, turn it on, I'm sorry, it'll go boom, I'm looking around, boom, 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 right? So let's just, there's a graphical setting that keeps going back we're going to just put this on medium for now, just to test this out, right? We're going to confirm those changes. And now we should run smoother than butter, okay? So let's restart this lap here and do a fast lap for you so you can see what we're doing. Looking into the corner, you can see further around. So there are some other people who do, like you can see stadium, you can see. Also don't have the line on. You can sort of see the understeer in it, right? Okay. Yeah, so oversteered a little bit there. So perfect example right here. I'm looking right into the corner. Right, how cool is that? So I can see where I'm going, because an F1 driver will actually be able to sort of turn his head a little bit. I'm not sure how much, but I'm sure it's not that much. But with OpenAI and these two programs running, you can have a good look around. But it does sort of throw you off a little bit. 190R full screen. You can see the lock up there on the right. Whoa, and the spin. There we go. I thought I might spin. Alright. So, whoa, it's out of control. Well, I'm out of control because I have no traction. Right, cool beans, right? So that is today's video. We're doing about 88 frames a second, so it doesn't have too much impact on the system itself. But generally, I would say, hey, you know, get the programs running first and then start the game. Which is what I have to redo there, which is a shame. Right. So I hope that really helps. So, I mean, it's such a good program to use. If I'm going to look in that mirror there to see if Yuki Tsunoda is trying to overtake me, I can see his car by just moving my head. Or because I have the ultra wide, I can look just at, you know, where I need to go, and I'm still doing other things. You know what I mean? So I can still look in that mirror like a real F1 driver and look around. I mean, I'm generally a cockpit player anyway, because I just prefer it. More real, I go for realism, especially on these arcade sims that we have these days, you know, like 4 and 24. So yeah, it's such a good program. I hope that does help. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Whoa, and I span it again. I mean, they're hard to drive, these cars are. So, without further ado, I hope that helps. I mean, look at that. That looks great. Right, and that obviously doesn't affect where you can put your camera customization. So you can still move all this. Like, I mean, I'm supposed to be up here, right? So it's supposed to be even tighter. So I just have a tighter field of view. But if you reset to default, it still doesn't look bad, right? Right? That's the normal field of view. Because if you actually look at Formula 1 drivers on their cockpit position, on how close they are to the steering wheel, they're this far. They're really not this far. Right? You'll actually realise that a lot of F1 drivers don't use much steering angle, should I say. So I hope that helps. Try it out. Hit me up. Let me know how you get along. And if you'd like to hit the follow button and subscribe for more F1 with Row content, please do hit follow. Because there's so much potential here for good content. I would be trying to use this all the time. I mean, that is something that F1 2025 doesn't actually offer. You know? So it's just one of those. I mean, I'm actually still not too far off my best time there, actually. Because you can look into the corner more so you can see the exits better. Right? I hope that sort of makes sense. So you can get the power down earlier, which is kind of what you want. So, without further ado, we're going to end this session right now. We go back to our main screen, and I really, really hope that helps. So download it, look through the instructions, see what you like, see if it works for you, and let me know. I really appreciate all the follows and subscriptions. See you next time.